Hello, everybody. I think we can all agree that having cancer is hard enough, let alone throwing coronavirus in the mix. So it's been a very testing and interesting several months. So today I'm joined with an amazing group of young people so that we can share our experiences of the pandemic and also shed light on some of the issues that we have faced. So we really hope that by doing this talk that you can find some commonality and relate to somebody, because it has been a really isolating and quite scary time. So it'll be nice just to talk about our experiences. Yeah, I hope you really enjoy. So first of all, I think we should talk about maybe some of the issues that we have faced. So personally for me, being 3.5 years out of treatment, I kind of rely on my scans in remission as my sort of peace of mind. Having those scans makes me feel good that there's no cancer inside of me. So having them delayed was quite anxiety inducing. I'm not sure about everyone else, but it was really hard. I literally had a scan today, finally. So I was really happy about that. But it was scary because you kind of, in your head, you're thinking, oh gosh, what if there's something inside me that they're missing because I'm not actually at clinic. So I think that has been really hard, just trying to rationalize those intrusive thoughts. But yeah, has anyone else experienced any particular issues during the pandemic?
Yeah, Ellie, I so agree with you, and I didn't feel like I was missing out as much because my friends and family were isolating too. Um, so it wasn't like they were going out and about, and I've had to see them on social media doing that. So in a way, that was a positive. But then I missed having to see them as well, because getting to see your friends and family going through cancer, you know, can help, and not being able to see them wasn't very good. And then also, I was worried my treatment would get delayed throughout the pandemic. Thankfully, mine wasn't, but maybe some of you have had your treatment delayed or are still going through treatment and worrying that it could be delayed. Um, and then another positive that I would say throughout it was that because I was self isolating, I wasn't actually having getting any other infections like colds or flus. Whereas maybe if I was out and about more, I may have picked up something else, which I could have maybe had my treatment delayed a week or so. So, yeah, I think there's positives and negatives at the moment with the pandemic.
Yeah, definitely. Has anyone else got any sort of issues that they'd like to share or they've experienced during the pandemic?
Certainly. I'm going into year 11 right now, well, which means, of course, I'm doing my GCSEs at the end of this year. And I've been sent a lot of schoolwork by my school. And so it's been rather stressful, as I did struggle to cope with the amount of work being sent to me at first. However, eventually I was able to cope a bit better. And overall, looking back, I think I coped rather well when all put together. But yeah, it just goes to show that it's not really in the same working environment. It's not really the same, and you can't really maximize your work ethic the same. So yeah.
Yep, definitely. Has anyone else got anything add to that?
Yeah, I was really looking forward to my year 11 prom in July, but obviously that was cancelled, and that was sort of the light at the end of the tunnel, keeping me going, thinking I could see all my friends, see everyone at school. I was really looking forward to it, but obviously that was cancelled, and that really upset me.
Yeah, I totally get that because my year 13 prom was cancelled. I had to miss a year 11 one, so I was like, no, not the year 13 prom as well. So it's annoying because it kind of just like takes away all those fun things that you've been looking forward to. And on that point, has there been anything that people have missed? Like for me, when I was off of chemo, like chemo-free week, I'd want to go out shopping, go to the cinema, go out to eat, and try and just do everything that I could before chemo started the next week. So has anyone, missed that? And how did this used to help them, like being able to go out, whereas now they're not able to go out? Has anyone, been missing like being able to go out to eat, or what I found hard as well is that, if you're on a high risk list, is that your friends can go out, but you're still stuck at home. So that's quite hard as well.
I
Yeah,
really missed all my friends.
For me, it was that realization of, oh no, even though I finished treatment, I'm now getting treated as if I have treatment, and all of a sudden I can't do stuff that I couldn't do before. Definitely a deja vu for me.
Yeah. What about you, Rachel? What were you going to say?
I find, well, I had Hodgkin's lymphoma, so I find maybe some people prefer the over the phone telephone calls now, but personally I prefer face to face. I'm a bit of a worrier, so feeling my lymph nodes, like I'm not an expert. Well, actually, I think I'm a wee bit more of an expert now in it, but feeling my lymph nodes, to me, making sure they feel normal size. I would rather have my consultant maybe checking them, feeling them himself, to tell me in person that they're okay than over like a Zoom call, etc., and be able to see me face to face. So I would like to get those back, than over the phone calls. But then again, over the phone calls can be good too. It means you don't have to go up to the hospital, maybe worried of getting COVID or picking up something. You can stay at home. But personally, I would prefer to have the face-to-face consultations.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. Like, I think when you get diagnosed with cancer, suddenly your, normal life stops, you're out of control, and things like going to see your consultant feels like sort of you're in control of your cancer because you've got this date, a bit like Ellie saying about scans, you're like, okay, I'm not going to worry, but I've got this one date. So when suddenly those things get turned to you, you're suddenly in control of your own anxieties again, which I think I definitely agree. Over COVID, it was suddenly like, what? I'm not going to see my consultant and they're not going to touch my lymph nodes. But maybe that's empowering because, you start to realize, like Rachel, you were saying, actually, I do know a lot of the stuff now, and I probably do know, and I probably should take a bit more reassurance in my own voice. But yeah, it definitely was a massive part of COVID, trying to work out that I was in control now. Definitely.
Yeah, I would agree with you there, Ella, because I used to be a bit of a warrior as well. And any health problem I had, I'd go off to the doctors and, just ask them about it. But it's made me a bit more empowered, this lockdown, because it's made me kind of rationalize a bit more these sort of things and health issues I am experiencing. Like, do I really need to see a doctor? And should I maybe wait a few days before going crazy and, calling up my doctors thinking it's a relapse or something? So, yeah, I think it's definitely helped in that sense. But how has this affected the people around you? Have you, like, my mum has been, so worried. So I don't know, how have your family members been all of this?
My mum called my siblings out of school like 2 weeks before they shut because she was so scared that they were going to pass it on to me. My brother missed his year 6 residential trip and he was gutted about that. And she refused to go to the shops for about a month. We had to obviously get the vulnerable orders and stuff, but yeah, she was really scared.
Rachel, did you have something to say about that?
Yeah, my dad's self-employed, so he was having to isolate as well, so he wasn't able to get out and do jobs, etc. My mum works with him, so they were both having to isolate, and they're not able to go out and about themselves. So I sort of made me feel a little bit guilty in the way because they're having to isolate because of me. But I know to them they just wanted me to be okay. So, but yeah, it made me feel a wee bit guilty.
Yeah, I totally get that as well. I wonder, did any of you find it hard, like with the guidelines? Because for me, I was 3 years out of treatment, so I wasn't on the high risk list. But I kind of thought, if I caught COVID because of my medical history, will I, react as well as like a normal, healthy 19-year-old? So did anyone find it hard when lockdown was relaxing, like what they could and couldn't do anymore?
Yeah, definitely. It became a big problem just to find out what I started to be able to do, and of course, not only, and just generally, I don't know because sorry, at the beginning I didn't really think if I'd be able to possibly survive catching corona. So when lockdown was getting eased, I was starting to get quite scared all of a sudden, because suddenly my family could start to go out, which is a great relief for them, I'm sure. But I was a tad scared of whether they might pass on to me. Of course, I've been reassured several times by my oncologists and people at the hospital that it's, even if I do catch coronavirus, I do still have a similar chance of, well, being severely affected by it as others. So I've been able to calm down a bit, but still, for those first few days when lockdown was easing, it was a bit scary.
Yeah, and kind of like we were talking earlier, you look to your consultant for like all the magic answers. So I remember when it happened, and suddenly, because this has never happened before, like Sue was saying earlier, we're sitting here with our consultant, well, for me anyway, my consultant saying, you know, we don't really know. And I think that's really hard to sit with, because you want a black and white answer to be like, okay, I'm going to lock myself in the room, or okay, I'm not going to lock myself at the room, but I'm still going to only be outside, or whatever people feel comfortable with. But I definitely think the government's advice and everyone's advice naturally was to like hide into a hole, and now coming out, it feels even scarier, because it's not as easy to know what I can say yes to and what I can say no to.
Yeah, definitely. So, obviously, I think we talked a lot about having anxiety over what was happening, and like for me, it was kind of a bit like deja vu, because suddenly I felt vulnerable again, as if I was like had no immunity when I was on treatment. So, did anyone have like any specific coping mechanisms when they were feeling like really anxious or scared about the pandemic and their current situation?
I find actually writing stuff down. I feel like, you know, I can't really talk to my friends or family about what I'm going through as much, because I don't want to upset them. So I write stuff down, and I actually started my own blog on everything I've been going through, which really helps, because you sort of bottle a lot of thoughts and feelings up. So getting that down on a piece of paper really does help, and it's therapeutic. I know not some people don't want to share their experiences and how they feel, because it's very private. So at the start, I start writing down things and then burning it. So just sort of mean like you're writing down the bad stuff and you're just getting rid of it by burning it. So I find that is quite helpful and therapeutic to cope.
Does anyone else have anything else? Like I found like talking to my family members helped, so that I didn't bottle up my thoughts and feelings about the whole situation. My mum's quite good at being quite logical and rational, so that really helped for me.
I started colouring. I found that really relaxing, and it calmed me down a lot when I was stressed out and going through a period of high anxiety.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. I love that. So how do people find like it in like clinic and stuff and like at the hospital? Because I found it a bit weird, because obviously you weren't able to kind of like see people face to face anymore. And then obviously if you did go into the hospital, they're all masked up, and it was like a different dynamic. So how did people find that? What was people's experiences with that?
It was really quiet. I had the whole ward to myself.
Wow, I bet that was weird.
Yeah.
What about you, Rachel?
Well, I find, you know, I was told I wasn't allowed any of my family up. I usually had my mum and my dad with me, so not having someone with me. But then I did have my specialist teenage cancer nurse with me, so she helped me a lot throughout that. But the thought of being on your own, I know some people might prefer to be on your own, but to me, I really wanted my mum there, so that was hard. But also, I thought there was a positive way, and I think they should maybe start keeping it like this. Is that you're actually phoned to for your appointment when you should come up, and then I was able to wait in the car till they were exactly ready to give my treatment. Whereas before the pandemic, at the start of my treatment, I was having to go up to the ward and maybe wait 40 minutes to an hour, and like I really felt sick beforehand, so I maybe wanted to throw up as well before even getting treatment. I would have had to wait an hour for that. So in a way, they can make, I think maybe doing that, making sure you come in and your treatment is there for you and you can get in and out is quite better. So yeah.
Yes, there's definitely been some positives, I guess, with like how treatment has been delivered and many other things. So has anyone got any sort of positives that they want to share about the lockdown period? Anything that they've been doing or any positives that you can think of?
I mean, I think when lockdown started and I realized that I was going to be at home for a very long time, and the only options were watching TV or finally doing the idea I've had for a long time. But I've started setting up a yoga class for young people in London, just because I think yoga has always been something for me that I've only recently come across and has been really positive, because it's like positive therapy that I'm in control of and doesn't make me want to throw up when I go, and is away from the hospital. So that was really positive, because I think in my normal post-cancer life, I'm quite overwhelmed with just doing the normal things. So being in shielding meant that I could actually write those emails and have maybe the confidence to start this yoga class where I might not have done before. So COVID did let me do that.
Yeah, I think that's actually amazing that you've done that. Like for me, I found this isolation period has been really helpful, because ever since I finished cancer treatment, I was thrown into like GCSEs and A levels, and I never had time to like properly focus on me. So it's been nice to like recover physically from the treatment, even though I'm like 3 years after, like some of the effects are still there. So it's been nice to just focus on that and be able to just focus on you. And I've been getting back into running, which has been really nice. So there's definitely been some positives, even when there are some negatives. So has anyone else got any positives to share?
Speaking of getting into things, my mum got me into gardening actually, and that's been rather relaxing during this period. I've started by planting some sunflowers, which have just recently bloomed actually, and I'm very happy about. And yeah, I've also helped my mum rearrange the new shrubs in our garden, and yeah, we've received a few compliments on that, which made me very happy indeed. So yeah, I think I've enjoyed getting into gardening over this during lockdown.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really nice. So what kind of top tips would you give to people for coping with the pandemic and I guess the continued effects of the pandemic? I think my biggest tip is just don't bottle up the feelings, talk it out, because it can be quite an emotionally distressing period of time. So I think that definitely helps me. So has anyone else got any tips that they'd like to share with the other people listening?
Maybe,
Might you go ahead, Rachel?
sure. I sort of like going for walks just to clear my head, and so I'm not sitting about and thinking about things or bottling things up, like you said, Ellie. So yeah, just making sure you're getting out and trying to do something a wee bit active if you feel up to it, if you have the energy to do it. So yeah.
I definitely am like a goals sort of person, and I'm talking like very small goals, but a bit like what you guys have said, tiny goals that I can achieve and feel like I've actually achieved something in a week where it feels like I haven't done anything, is definitely a massive part of cancer, but also COVID, feeling like at the end of the week, oh, I planted that sunflower, or I went on that run and I ran a bit faster than I did, or for me, I finished, I don't know, whatever it would be, but I actually managed to get it done. So yeah, having a little goal that you feel like the week hasn't just passed.
Yeah, I think that's great. So what is everybody's future plans then? Because of course, I guess schools are starting again and whatnot. So what's everyone doing? I'm going to be on my gap year before I go to university. So I'm going to start work at a nursing home next week, which is slightly worrying because I hope none of the old people have COVID. But but what about everyone else? What is everyone's future plans?
I'm going to sixth form to do chemistry, geography, and biology with plans to do medicine at uni now.
Yes,
So
I'm doing medicine. Yes, that's amazing.
yeah, congratulations on getting into
Thank you.
getting into
And have
university.
fun
Yeah,
with biology and chemistry A levels because they're not fun.
yeah, I've heard they're hard.
Yeah, they are, but you'll do it. You'll be fine. Just work hard and you'll be fine. What about everybody else?
Thank you.
I'm going into my exam year of GCSE, so I've started already getting in some study time near the end of this lockdown. And yeah, my teachers have already set a few assessments for us at the start of the year, which I think is absolutely cruel. So I've been revising for those quite hard, and yeah, I'm just trying to keep my head down and focus on focus on my GCSEs while enjoying it as best I can.
So Isaac, will you actually be going back into school in September, or are you going to still distance yourself, or?
Yeah, I'm going back into school next Thursday, I believe, and I believe we will be distancing ourselves. And there's going to be hand sanitizing locate put stations all around the school, and yeah, I don't think it's mandatory to wear a face mask yet, but I'm going to be wearing a face mask regardless because I don't want to catch COVID. And yeah, it's going to be an interesting experience, no doubt. But I'm looking forward to it, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing all my friends again because I haven't seen many of them since lockdown began.
Yeah, that's great. Does anyone else have any future plans I'd like to share?
I'm moving into my first home in a month, and I'm also getting married next year. So, yeah, it's very exciting times. I feel like I can sort of leave the cancer journey behind and sort of try and move forward now, getting into my new home. So, yeah, I actually found another way of coping. Well, I burnt all like my cancer stuff. Like I had a pick line in, so my pick line sleeves and all, which was really good. Me and my mum and dad done a wee bonfire, so yeah, that was nice. So yeah, good.
Wow, that's amazing. And congratulations on getting married next year. That's amazing. So yeah, I think, does anyone else have anything they want to add, that they want to tell people about the pandemic or whatnot, or anything that they feel like they haven't been able to mention yet?
So I'm going to join in now, even though I'm clearly a little bit older. Sorry about that. But obviously, I'm just going to say to everyone who's watching, all the attendees, then now is the chance to seize the opportunity to ask some questions if you want to. But yeah, there may not be any more questions to ask because there's been so much covered at some incredible speed there, and I picked out lots of exciting things apart from the last bit as well, where I got really excited about what people are doing and the whole yoga class thing and the medical school and going back and focusing on your exams, etc. And you sound like you're ready for going back to school, Isaac, and just getting on with that. And Rachel, obviously you've got the most exciting year planned for next year from the sound of it, which is probably what we all need to hear right now about exciting years and stuff. I'm just going to quick check of the chat box. Don't let me stop you talking or anything like that. Is there anything, because we obviously had a little chat, dear people on the panel, we had a little chat about what we wanted to kind of think about today. Is there anything that people want to mention that they haven't had chance to so far? Any I know we've talked a little bit about top tips and there's been some golden ones there. I'm never going to take up colouring. I just wish I could colour because I can see how amazingly therapeutic it is for everyone else apart from me who just snaps crayons out of frustration. But any other gems of insight to share with people watching? Now is your time to do that.
If you get an opportunity to do something like this, you should do it, because I found it really, really helpful to open up and share my experiences.
That is a lovely point, and we didn't even ask you to say that, James, which is the most amazing things. So, great shout. I hope that all the panelists have definitely taken something from this. And Ellie, you've obviously chaired that wonderfully. So yeah, if we've got any more questions coming through, I'll just see if we've got any more. This is, let's see. Oh, we've got a few things coming in on the chat. I don't know if you're all able to see that. Paint by numbers kits on Amazon are extremely therapeutic. I love that. And then Bob may possibly have some questions. I don't know if he wants to do that now or some other time. So let us know if you do, Bob.
Bob is here.
He's here. Bob's back.
Yeah.
Is it okay? Because that was amazing chairing and absolutely superb stuff coming through from everybody. Thank you very much for letting us lurk in the background.
Grace. That's all I'm saying.
Really, yeah. Next Prime Minister. I think we rarely get a chance to ask questions in this. We get asked questions, but don't often ask them. And as I was listening, I was thinking, have we in the medical nursing healthcare team done a really bad job about explaining that lots of things that we say we know, we actually probably know, rather than absolutely definitely know, and that almost this pandemic has uncovered the degree of our ignorance, and now we have to be honest about it. And do you feel less trusting of us in healthcare now than you did before? I suppose those are my things that I was wondering about as it came out.
I feel more trusting because you've got most of this, as far as I'm aware, through the pandemic and a treatment without any COVID. So yeah.
Yeah, and seeing how nervous, that what you guys were saying earlier about having loads of people in shielding, I guess made me feel like, oh, okay, so they really don't want us to get hurt if maybe they're being too cautious, or I think it definitely made me realize that a lot of the things that are being put in place are to protect everyone. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Thank you.
No problem at all. Absolutely. There's another question coming in, and like I say, this is a special time. So now is the time to take advantage. And sorry, panelists, that we've set you up for a grilling there. But we've got one from about it's my last day of treatment today. Anyone else felt really weird for a while once it was over? I am happy, obviously, but it also feels very surreal, which is a really good points in there. Anyone got anything they want to comment on with regard to that point, obviously in terms of finishing treatment?
I would say yes, because I had 18 months of treatment, and I remember my last chemo session, I said to my doctor, what am I going to do with my Wednesdays now? This is all I've done every Wednesday, every week, it's come to chemo. So it definitely felt really weird. Like, I was so happy for it to be over, but I kind of wasn't ready to leave that like support network, because every week you see your doctors, your nurses, and you do develop a sort of community there. So being told, oh gosh, you've got to go out and do your own thing now and act like life is normal again was really difficult for me. But I think it's just taking each day as it comes, and you do quickly learn that life without chemo is absolutely amazing. So you soon do not miss it anymore.
Yeah, Ellie, I'm the same. When I finished treatment, it was a bit surreal the first week or two. I didn't really know what to do. I was a wee bit nervous and scared because, like you said, you're used to going to your treatment, seeing all your health professionals all the time. But as every day has gone by, it's just got better and better. Like you said, not having chemo, and I think you feel yourself just getting better every day, which is good. You feel more like yourself. You may feel you're worrying at the start. I was worrying of maybe relapse and all. I'm only 2 months finished treatment, but already like the worrying is starting to, ease off a bit, because I'm starting to, no, I'm not going to let cancer take over my life. I think that's the main thing, and try and move on from it. And if you have any worries, you can always ring up your medical team, and they are always there for you. So that's what I find. They're very supportive. So yeah.
That was brilliantly timed as well, Rachel, because we were just about to put in the chat a reminder that obviously tonight, don't forget that the clinical teams are still around to support, and we were just about to put that in the chat, and then you said it anyway, because that seems to be how we're rolling tonight. So thank you, and thank you for that question, Lavetta. That's really really opened things up nicely, really well. Have we got anything else coming through? I'm really glad that Bob, you got the chance to, and Sue, to ask some questions as well, because you are probably used to being grilled regularly for information. So yeah, hopefully that was a good thing to do there, and it was nice bringing the two panels together then. Ellie, you've put me to shame, basically. You've brought that together wonderfully. If anyone has any further remarks, then great. I am going to have to mention the fact that tomorrow night, I believe there's a yoga session. So I know yoga's already mentioned in the conversation. I'm just going to mention that again, that there's a session tomorrow night to look forward to, because there's definite. I found doing yoga one of the biggest levelers for me, as someone who'd done lots of sport for years, and then I went and did a yoga class and was comfortably the worst person in there by a long way, because I had to listen and do things in a certainly different way. So, but I do want to say a big thank you to everyone there for giving a lot of yourselves there, not just tonight, but also in the thinking about this in advance and not knowing what's going to come up. I'm really glad that, James, you said that this was an experience to put yourself forward through, and I think I've learned so much tonight. I learned a lot last week, and I'm hoping that everyone else has had the chance to either learn things or reflect on things, get a bit of reinforcement about how they feel about things, etc. So I do just want to say a massive thank you. Tell you can all let you know that you can all relax, switch your cameras off, mute and everything like that in due course, because we're pretty much nearly at the end of day one. So unless anyone wants to shout something out now from the panel, now's your chance. Otherwise, give us a nice cheery wave, and I can just say thank you on behalf of all of us at Teenage Cancer Trust, but also everyone who's watching this and everyone who's going to benefit from this insight in the future. So thank you very much, and there's a big wave from me. And if you've not got anything else to say, give us a wave.